Armand Diaz, and today's topic is Pluto in Capricorn. Now, Pluto's been in Capricorn since 2008. He's going to be there until 2024, so this is not an emergency. But Pluto is the planet of deep transformation, and Capricorn is the sign that we associate with the institutions of society, government, business, in our case, business. And so deep transformation of these things is a big deal. Deep transformation of anything is a big deal. But this is something that is very much a society-wide, and at this point in time, a global society-wide issue. The last time Pluto was in Capricorn was the years of the American Revolution, and that was really the beginning of the end of monarchy. It was not the case that democratic principles weren't already taking hold and well established, as certainly they were in Europe. But this was the beginning of a country that was just founded on a particular set of ideals, although it's actually kind of a Pluto and Aquarius issue, because that's when the U.S. Constitution was framed. But it was a unique step to say that a country would be founded on ideals, that a country would be founded on something other than geographic location. And the United States, even at the time of the Revolution, was not any sort of homogeneous place. Certainly many people saw it as being very distinct territories, and there was no common culture, no common religion, not even really a language. And the idea that you could have a nation that was established on something other than the sort of natural ethnic bond was really very unique. It didn't really bring about the downfall of monarchy in the West until the time of the First World War, which is about half a Pluto cycle away, but it was the beginning of the end. Now, we have a very different circumstance now, and we'll be looking at transformation and changes in our institutions on a similar scale, but in a way that looks very different. If we look at what happened when Pluto went into Capricorn in 2008, we can see that on his first station in September, he'd only been in the sign for about 8 months, and right at the point where he's going forward and he seemed to stop in the sky and go backwards, it was exactly that week, it was really within about 48 hours of his station, that we saw the beginning of the financial meltdown, or at least it became apparent that there was a financial meltdown. And that was the time when banks started folding and we started to recognize that we had a major economic problem. And to this point, we still have a major economic problem. So Pluto in Capricorn this time around is going to work certainly on our sense of who we are in terms of nations and individual countries. That's something that I think we really just have to catch up with the fact that it doesn't make too much of a difference where you're located. In many respects, it doesn't make too much of a difference. And many of our assumptions about nations are getting kind of obsolete. But more importantly, what does tie us together is economics, and what we're going to see is a huge change in the way that we approach economics and the way we allow ourselves currently to be ruled by economic considerations, and the particular economic considerations that are ruling us, the particular form of capitalism that's become sort of the dominant thing worldwide, and the assumptions of that are going to be challenged. I wouldn't begin to try to guess how that's going to happen, because we can only see the type of change that we want to see or the type that we don't want to see. We can sort of advocate for something, we could react to or resist something, but what we can't do is see where the actual change is going to be. We can understand the area, we can understand something about the way that it is going, and we can understand that things are not going to be the same. But what Pluto does is to get underneath our assumptions. Pluto gets underneath those things that we accept and think it has to be this way, and slowly changes them. So we can say, yes, the economics and the government tie-in with the economy and the role of big business, these things are all going to change substantially. Over the course of the next few years, we're going to see an intensification on both sides. We're going to see an erosion of power for, let's say, big businesses, but we're also going to see that certain blowback where they're going to really entrench themselves more. We're going to see government, yes, losing some of its ability to control, and yet we're going to see them also trying much harder to control. And as you watch it happen, you'll see things sort of move from one side to the other, and you'll have this sort of very hopeful sense about things sometimes, and this very sort of dread sense about them other times. And you're right, for sure. Both times around, you're right. There is a lot of reasons for hope and dread because there's a lot of deep transformation taking place, and that doesn't follow a predictable pattern, and it doesn't follow the pattern that you or I or anybody else wants. Because none of us are in charge. Pluto is in charge. And Pluto is in Capricorn.